we've acquired a lot of new clients from the States, so it's been busy.
Awesome. Awesome. I love hearing about that. I want to ask you all types of questions, but
Wait, man.
first of all, I just want to say thanks, man. I appreciate you coming on here, and I
Thanks for having
really,
me.
really enjoyed getting to know you and Neil a little bit from our last conversation. And this time I get to ask questions, so I get to know a little bit more about you this time. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm looking forward to chatting again some more.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, let's just get right into it. Why don't you introduce yourself for anybody that's going to be listening, who you are, what you do, where you're from.
Yeah, my name is Cody May. I am from Peterborough, Ontario. I run a company called Studio PTPO. We're a full-service marketing agency that helps businesses attract leads, automate their lead nurture, close more clients. Kind of the four key core functions of our business is we build custom WordPress websites, graphic design. We do video and photography, and we focus in on lead generation on Facebook and Instagram. So I spent 10 years in the telecom industry, just really helping people find solutions, building teams. Worked for a company called Best Buy, and they're a Fortune 500 company. So I have a corporate background. Just spent that time in my life really trying to figure out, what I wanted and what I wanted out of life. While I was working at Best Buy, going back even further, I guess, I went through for pastoral ministry. So I spent 4 years at Master's College and Seminary, and I thought I was going to be a youth pastor. Decided that role wasn't for me. I wanted to do something more entrepreneurial, and just never knew how to actually do that. And then when I got connected with my business partners now, we started Studio PTBO. I came out on as a managing partner, and the rest has kind of been a history. It's been a wild ride.
Wow, man. Wow, that's incredible. So all of this like experience and all of this journey that you've been on in the different industries it's all led to here.
Yeah, man, it's definitely led to. It's been a wild ride. I originally grew up in Chatham, Ontario, so I'm not sure if you're familiar with that.
Yeah.
Southwestern Ontario, born and raised in Chatham, Ontario, and moved to Peterborough about almost 10 years ago now, and just fell in love with Peterborough, fell in love with the city. Decided to stay here, got connected with some really, really good people. I met Neil about 4 or 5 years ago. I was
Okay.
doing a kind of a clothing / like motivational type of brand called Create Your Purpose. And that kind of led me to him, and he saw something in me, and he's like, hey, do you want to kind of partner up and do a video thing? So I was shooting video, partnered up, and I started just shooting video for his clients, and we kind of intertwined with another business, and like we all kind of came together as Studio PTPO, and now our company's just rapidly growing over the last year, and we're able to help businesses across North America. So it's been a pretty wild ride. It's to get here. You don't really realize how crazy of a ride it's been until you kind of sit back and actually think about, oh my god, I can't believe this has been the last 2 years of my life. So it's been crazy.
Wow, wow. And you wrapped up so much into that
Yeah.
that 2 years, man. That's crazy and really, really cool to see so much growth in such a short time. I'm really actually kind of curious because like I do a little bit of like youth stuff on the side. Like I volunteer at a youth ministry kind of outreach called the Beacon. It's local here in town. I live in Brighton, and we help kids off the street, give them meals, provide a safe space for them. So what like kind of like what was your passion there when you wanted to get into youth ministry, and how did that kind of start?
Yeah, man. I had a really I was a shy, awkward high school student. I was, but I wasn't. It's really weird. I was shy and awkward in high school, but I wasn't shy and awkward at church. So it was really weird. I had like almost like I was living two different lives, like in the sense of like I just found my place in that like world, and had really good friends, positive influences, and I just grew up. Like my high school was right next to my church, and I just always loved music growing up. So that was what really drew me to kind of do the whole church thing, and I think deep down I just had a passion to help people, and I still feel like I do, and I feel like it's the entrepreneurial business community, and that really drove me when I was probably 18, 19. I started working at Future Shop, and I was able to really kind of get out of that shy, awkward phase, and really like sales and working with people and working with the general public was kind of my, I guess, my coming out party, in the sense of like, okay, I got over the shy, awkward stage that I had in high school, and I really found my groove, really found my vibe. And I just really knew that there was always that, even though I was doing the business stuff, I was always like, I always felt that pastoral ministry had this larger meaning. And I felt like I needed to do that. I needed, like, I didn't really understand the world at this point. When I, like at 18, 19, I didn't realize that I could just go and be, go and start a business. I always had that in me. I was always doing like side hustle things. But it wasn't until I kind of had the opportunity I was kind of making money on the side, started a side hustle called Create Purpose. We were making money, we were profitable. And, I don't know, it was kind of a mixture of just wanting to help people. Like I came out of high school, I worked at Future Shop. I was helping people that way. And I'm like, I just had this larger, I felt like I had this larger sense of purpose of wanting to, just wanting to help more people and wanted to have a larger impact in the world. And I felt like that's part of the reason why I started the pastoral training, and realized that I could have a large impact on the world with the business community. And that's kind of led me to where I am today, and why I'm so passionate about the business community, entrepreneurial community.
That's phenomenal. That's phenomenal. And it's really, really cool to hear, because like I'm having these like insane conversations with people just around what you're talking about, and like, just helping people. And, it's funny, I've said this a few times, like it's, that's the breed of human that they're not the type to like just retire and, kind of just sit on their hands. Like helping people is something that you can do forever,
Yeah.
essentially. So it's so fulfilling to kind of be in that now, and knowing like, hey, 40, 50, 60 years down the road, like you can still be doing it, maybe in a different capacity, but still something you can do for sure.
Yeah, it's a legacy. One of my favorite people in the world, Brendan Burchard, talks a lot about, there's three things when he wakes up in the morning. He asks himself, at the end of the day, he asks himself, did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And I tend to live by that now, where it's like everything that I do in the business community, for my team, as we grow the team, it's like, did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And that, that's where I think ultimately legacy comes in. Because I think business owners and entrepreneurs get into business for one of three reasons. It's either more money, more meaning, or more freedom. It's that altruistic feeling that business owners, they're risk takers. They are, they're doing things outside the norm. They're blazing a new path, and they're really trying to go into the future and pull, kind of a new reality into the future. And that's why I love the business community. And that's why I love entrepreneurs, because they're risk takers. Again, you probably have faced this as well. It's like you feel like you hit 10,000 and then you reinvest 5,000 of that in order to continue to grow the business. Like it's a constant, ever growing cycle of being able to altruistic, money, but also freedom. It's like kind of like you're balancing all three. And I find that when you kind of have a holistic view of entrepreneurship and a business, that things just start to click. And it's been really cool. I would say over the last year, things have just really started to click.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. And just for clarity, like how long have you guys had this business now?
Yeah, so it's cool because Nora, my business partner, so I have two business partners, Nora and Neil. Nora has been an entrepreneur for 18 years. So she has the web and graphic design side of the business. So that made up about 50% of the business. And the other 50% made up of video and lead generation. So it was kind of like a half split. So I came on in full time in May of 2018. And we pretty much tripled our revenue since then. And from the original, because it was just web and graphic, and we were doing some stuff on the side. We added some more services, and really, our team is growing now at such a rapid rate. And obviously, COVID has changed things. Like we're not able to shoot as many videos as we used to. But I would say that she had an 18-year background. Neil had a media company he started 8 years ago, and Neil had a media company called PTBO Canada, and it was like a publishing type of, and it's still going. He still has it, and like a lot of our clients that are local love it because we can actually create content and then distribute on that platform, because there's about 65,000 social fans across the social platform. So Neil and
So
Nora started Studio PTBO technically 5 years ago, and they were kind of like just working it as a hybrid. So Neil was doing his thing, Nora was doing her thing, and then when I came on 2 years ago, that's when things really started to get real, because it was my only source of income, where I was like, we have to make this work. I left a pension, a salary, 10 years of tenure at Best Buy. So I kind of left it all and said, we got to make this work. And, we're constantly learning, evolving, but it was really helped being able to, do this venture with people who have experience as an entrepreneurs. I always knew I wanted to do it, but I know 2 years ago I didn't have the tools and the systems and the processes that I do now. And like, again, like our team, so it's like our full team, we have probably about 12, I think 13 people. We added another Facebook ad specialist. So we have about 13 to 14 people in total that are on our team. And half of them are like kind of on the Facebook ad side and the video side, and half of them are web and graphics. So it's grown massively, but I think a lot of the growth has to do with like just the experience that Neil and Nora have as well, and then kind of like the pep in my step of wanting to really go for it.
that's awesome. And I really, really vibe and relate to you on so many levels in what you just said, because I mean, myself being fairly green and just buying my business in 2018 November, and buying it from a fantastic gentleman who has really coached and mentored me over the years. I started at the company going back 5 years ago, and marketing and sales, and then kind of grew into that role of entrepreneur, owner slash CEO. So it's super, super, fortunate to have those people and that experience to kind of back up the hunger and the innovation that, us as like newcomers, so to speak, coming on and with that hunger and that fire. So I really, really relate to you in that. What was like that process like in when you came on and you're like, this has to work, like this is going to be my only source of income? Like, what was like some key things that you can reflect back to, that changes that had to be made, that type of thing when you came on?
Well, we were doing a lot of video, and I always enjoyed video, and it was kind of like the entry into the world of like entrepreneurship. And it was like, again, like the video taught me so much. And like, we were just a video marketing company. We were working with a lot of local clients, and over the last year, we've started to work with a lot more clients across North America. But for me, looking back at that, I kind of came in, I remember like my first day, May 5th of 2018 was my first May 5th of 2018 was my last day at Best Buy. May the 8th was my first day at the studio. And I was working part-time, I guess full-time. I was like, I became a partner back in February, but I was trying to juggle both things. And I guess you could say like, I really found the like, I just went with it, and I'm like, I got to make this work. We didn't have any clients. Like on our side, we had clients like that were doing video stuff, because I was doing some stuff on the side, but I didn't have any for sure income, and we didn't have any retainer clients at all at that point. So I kind of took the leap, and it kind of just said, I'm going to make this work. And we reinvested. I would say within 6 months, we started making money through video. We reinvested, and I started to get an understanding of how the lead generation space was working. And I got connected with the Kat Howell community, and we went through her academy program, and that's really when I was making money with video. But we were doing this video. I'm like, okay, like the clients that we're doing video for locally can advertise on PTBO Canada, but there has to be a solution. There has to be a solution in order for us to actually generate our clients' results. And I was doing some Facebook ads, but I didn't really understand it all that well. I understood the world a little bit, but didn't really understand it that deeply. And then within 3 to 6 months, we got connected with the Kat Howell community, and I just like started training myself through this program, got connected, started really building out the agency. And the agency, specifically with Facebook ads, has just skyrocketed in the last like probably 6 to 8 months. Working with so many clients across North America, really with proven lead generation systems. And I would say like, it was kind of a do or die. Like, I'm going to prove that, like, it was kind of a proof to myself. I'm like, I could do this and I'm passionate about it. And the video stuff was great and I enjoyed it and I enjoyed helping people. But there was always that, like, it just still wasn't there for me. Like the light under the fire and the spark was kind of like quickly gone, because I'm like, I enjoy video, but I don't as much as like doing this stuff. So I really wanted to learn the lead generation space. And yeah, I think that when you are passionate about what you do, and I'm super passionate about Facebook ads, and Facebook ads has literally changed my life in regards to helping businesses really with lead generation systems and nurture and all that good stuff. But it was just kind of a moment of like, I got to make this work. And I realized that video is a super important part of our business, but now it's 0% of our business because we can't shoot anything. So like, we obviously do video and stuff like this, like podcasts and everything, but we don't have we have a few video projects that kind of we have to wrap up once COVID is over. But we were able to just like, I'm lucky, I'm fortunate that, we have Facebook ads and we're doing lead generation for clients, because that's been our bread and butter, other than websites and graphic design, because like during COVID, we lost an entire division essentially because we can't shoot anything. So it was a do or die. It's like I said to myself going into this, I'm like, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to figure this out, and I'm going to believe in my ability to figure things out. And we have, so it's been cool.
That's fantastic. Wow. And I'm so curious about this, and I love that you're doing this, because I think that education is so critical to ensuring the success of the client. You talk quite a bit and are pretty adamant about the conversation around sales processes. Do you have one at all, or maybe you have one but it's broken? Tell me a little bit, where did you discover that as being like a key need for people that you're doing work for, clients that are doing any type of advertising at all, and how that's helped them in the process?
Yeah. So, it's funny. I was interviewed on a podcast and this question came up the other day as well. And yeah, this is something that's so important. And like, I tend to, I'm lucky enough that I've been connected with some really, really great people that have built businesses and that understand the 5 key core functions of growing a business: lead generation, lead nurture, conversion, delivery, retention, resell, upsell. So I think that every business needs to understand their sales process and needs to actually know what their conversion rates are and their tracking. And I just think that too many businesses relies too much on referrals, and and it's fine, and it'll get you to a point, but what got you there won't get you to the next level. And if you don't want to go to the next level, that's fine. But for online lead generation, I think it's so important. Like, if you're an agency owner and you don't have a sales process, like, we follow a 2-call sales process. So generally, when a client comes to us and says, "Hey, I'm interested in working with you," or they book an appointment through our calendar, generally, like, we hired a sales coach. And we spent the last year really refining our sales process to where we have a 2-call sales process, where the first call is just a 45-minute discovery call to see whether or not we're a fit to partner together. So we ask you questions about your marketing, your sales process, your business goals, and we identify where you at and how comfortable are you with like actually fixing your sales process. And I've been really bullish about this over the last probably 6 months about every business that if you want to grow, like if you actually want to grow, you need a marketing company and you need a business coach. You need both, because the business coach will help you with, or the business/sales coach will help you with the point of conversion. Because like when you look at the 5 key core functions of growing a business: lead generation, lead nurture, conversion, oftentimes a marketing company will get your prospect to the point of conversion, and then your sales process takes over. So the issue is a lot of people, they can get really good leads, but they can't close them. And then they wonder why they can't close them. And the reason they can't close them is because they have a broken sales process. So I'm really bullish about sales process. I've invested thousands of dollars into Kat Howell's program. Stan Way, he's our sales coach, invested thousands of dollars into making sure that we understand the sales process. And it's paid, like I don't know, 20x, 10x our investments, because having a sales process, understanding where people are within your structure, I think it's just something that is invaluable. I think that any business that is listening, that, you know, if you don't know how somebody gets from point A to point B to point C and what your onboarding looks like, and this goes across any lead generation sector, if you don't have a sales process and your job is to get on the phone with somebody and to close them, then I just think you're leaving thousands of dollars on the table. And I think that ultimately, if you want to grow a successful business, you need to have a plan and a strategy for each key core function of growing a business. So that would be like what I would say is like sales process is everything. It's the reason why you're not closing sales right now is because your sales process is broken. And I think that comes from my Best Buy days. Is they had a system and a process for everything, whether it be onboarding, whether it be you know, getting people from point A to point B to point C in the actual overall arching sales process, whether it be a process for operations, whether it be a process for shipping and receiving. They have processes for everything. And I think not enough businesses have a kind of a standard operating procedure or SOPs on how to do things. And then they're caught spinning their tires and figuring out why their business isn't growing. And I know from like for a fact that it wasn't until we implemented systems, sales processes, it wasn't until we did that we experienced growth. So you need sales process. It's so important.
I 100% agree with you, man. It's like you can't have one without the other. And I love your analogy around, you know, you're really being bullish about, you know, you need a marketing company and you need a business coach as well. Because like if you can lead a horse to water, but if you don't have that process in place to make that horse drink, he ain't gonna drink.
Exactly. No, I'm 100% with you. Like I said, I've been bullish about this conversation because I think that people have a warped understanding of how lead generation works. They're like, well, I hired you a marketing company, and it's like we try to do our absolute best, and we've been really trying to reframe the conversation because I think so many marketing companies make promises they can't keep, and we've never been like that. We always try to, you know, under promise, over deliver, and that's kind of our thing. And it's why I think that, you know, whenever a client comes to us, that we don't have a whole lot of bad experiences because of the fact that I'm super transparent, and that 45-minute discovery call is like for me and the client. It's for me to, like, I want them to really buy into the fact that I can get them results, but I want to also them to sell me to that they are going to be committed to getting themselves results.
100%. And I think a real common thing that agency owners deal with, and I know we've certainly dealt with this, is like, you know, you get a client, but that client is really just hands off, and they're kind of just expecting, you know, something, you know, like you hire a marketing company, they take care of it all for you. You can just be hands off and not do anything. And they really miss the you know, the fruitfulness of a partnership and what that looks like. So we've been really intentional about partnering with people and framing the conversation that way, as opposed to you're hiring us to do a job.
Big difference. It is a very big difference. You're exactly right.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And like Peterborough is like a really growing area. Like tell tell me what you love about the area and your experience there, specifically in that region so far.
Well, when we're not locked down in COVID, you know, there's a lot of things to love about Peterborough. Like at one point, I think Stats Canada said we're the fastest growing city in all of Canada, which there are so many passionate business owners. Again, because I'm an entrepreneur, because, you know, again, I think every city is going to have its issues, and like, don't get me wrong, Peterborough, we definitely have issues, but I think the pros outweigh the cons, and like maybe you could call that my glass half full positive mindset perspective. You know, some people are like, you're crazy, like I don't understand how you see so many good things about Peterborough, but man, like the people I'm connected with, like, again, you must just be looking at a different Peterborough than I'm looking at. The people I'm connected with are passionate, they're hungry, they want to see Peterborough grow. You know, our DBIA is one of the best in Canada. You know, our chamber is, you know, I'm a board member for the chamber. We're known as one of the best chambers in Canada. and with a ton of recognition. We're growing. I think every city is going through its growing pains, and for us, the biggest thing is like, again, this COVID thing. No one really ever saw it coming. So we're dealing with it, but it's cool to see the amount of people that come together. Like, for example, my business partner Neil is doing like they put together like this live show called COVID, and like the premiere is going to be on the show. Like Doug Ford's going to be on the show. They're doing a 2-hour live special, and just a bunch of business owners kind of came together and said, we need to do something for the community. So it's like there's things like that where it's like it's unlike any other city. Like I lived in Chatham. Growing up, it's nothing like Chatham, and even the conversations I have with other people that live in smaller communities, when I have these conversations, like, oh, I don't really ever see anything like that happen in my community. It's like, I just feel like we have good people, and I feel like we're going places as a city. Are we 10, 15, 20 years out? Yeah, but what like every city is 10, 15, 20 years out. The real estate market's really great here. It's skyrocketed for investors. A lot of people that I know that are investors say that Peterborough is a prime market when they come here. The 407 extension to the 115 was huge. There's a lot happening in the city, and even despite the hiccup that I think the entire world's going through, I feel like we're going to come out stronger on the other side.
I love your perspective on that, and honestly, like any teenage kid or like young adult that's going to be listening to this, like, really hear these words, because I hear it so often where kids are like, I can't wait till I can get out of this town because it's the same people, it's the same this, it's the same that. And my answer is exactly the same as yours, Cody. You must be, looking at this a lot differently than the way I'm looking at this, because for every person that's having a bad experience, there's like 10 people having a great experience. Like it's not the place, it's the people, and it's the relationships that you cultivate.
And it's the person, like moving towns is not going to fix the problems that you have with yourself. And that's, 100%. I always say to people, I'm like, moving to a different town is not going to fix the negative outlook that you have on yourself. I think that you need to get good with yourself, and before you, like, moving cities is not going to help you, get good with yourself and have a positive outlook on your life. Like even right now, for example, it's like, where are you going to live? Like, where are you going to move? Like, where everyone's in lockdown. I think that it's searching. If you're unhappy, it's searching for ways to be happy. Like I'm connected with people all across the world, like the Cat Howell community, the digital distillery that I'm connected with. Like everyone's everywhere. Like no one's in one specific area. If you're like, Cat's in New Zealand, we have people in Arizona, there's people in Florida, there's people in Texas. Like, it's like, where are you going to go? You're going to go to Texas, you might see one person. So I'm just grateful. I think everything, the more you do a lot of interviews like this, the more I interview people, the more I talk to entrepreneurs, it comes down to 3 key things. It's gratitude, it's perspective, and it's mindset. If you can hone in on those 3 things, I think that, you can change your circumstance.
100%. And like we got into this a little bit, and I asked you a few questions last time when you interviewed me, but I'm so curious, what are like some key things that you're learning and discovering during this time of people being in lockdown? And you mentioned a whole division being shut down, but then skyrocketing in another one. What are some things that you've learned during this process, and what are some things that you've done in your business to help with your team and yourself and your business during this time? Oh, I think the video paused. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, sorry, I lost you there. I don't know whether that's me or you.
I see you now.
Okay, sweet. I didn't hear a word you said.
Okay. Sorry, I'll ask that again. So I'm just so curious around what you've been doing during this time to adapt as a business, and what you're learning and discovering with you and your team during this time, and what's been working for you, or what have been some challenges that you guys have been
Yeah,
facing?
man. Like when we first started, like this whole thing, I think it was scary for everyone. Like me, Neil, Nora, like all the business partners were like, okay, we have people in house. Like, how are they going to work? I think we kind of got over the like there was a few minutes of like, oh my god, what's happening, to like immediately into like role model mindset of how do I make sure my team's taken care of. We implemented daily huddles. We usually did in the past. We've done weekly team meetings. We moved weekly to daily because we wanted to make sure that the entire team was together, and that anybody on the team wants to show up to the daily team huddles, which pretty much everyone shows up to the daily team huddles. We just unless they're off, obviously, we implemented that. Slack was a huge proponent for us. Zoom, nothing really changed, to be honest with you. Like, if anything, I think it brought us closer in the sense that like we went from weekly team meetings to daily team meetings, and I think it brought us closer. It allowed us to really look at the business holistically and say, and I was already doing that back in February. I went to a Brendan Burchard conference back in February, and there was a lot of key learnings that I came back with where I was like, okay, we need to do this, this, and this. And we kind of started implementing a lot of those things. And it's like, this just kind of, I think, ultimately pushed things for us to be like, okay, we need to automate more things. We need to delegate more things, and we need to remove things that aren't needle moving activities. So I think it just kind of sped up the process of getting the business structure good so that we had the ability to actually move forward. And I feel like we have moved forward. Like, we're growing, and we pivoted a little bit. Like, we went harder on advertising to advertise our, we tripled down on ad spend. While a lot of advertisers were pulling out of the space, we threw down more money in order to acquire more clients, and it's been pretty.
Because the market's wide open.
Totally, it is. People are pulling out like crazy. Like, especially in the first week, advertisers were pulling out left and right. Hospitality industry pretty much hotels left the space. So we were experiencing CPMs that were super low. So I'm like, here we go. We were ready for this. We're gonna go all in, and it's been very fruitful.
That's fantastic. I love that. You mentioned something really cool around delegation. You don't have to do everything as a business owner, and it's really okay to put people in positions of authority where they can just execute on things that they're really good at. And that's something that I've certainly enjoyed listening from your perspective. I'd love you to expand on what brought you to that discovery, and how is that working for you now?
Man, I was terrible at this 6 months ago. I was awful. And like, I was trying to take on everything, where I was trying to do video, I was trying to do this and that. And I had a few key people that were helping me, but I went to a Brendan Burchard conference back in February, and I felt before that I was kind of burning myself out, where I was just working too much, and like I was spinning my tires trying to figure out, like, why isn't this working? Like, why am I not closing more clients? Why are we're getting really good results for our clients? Why are not more people flocking to us? And I think it was a mental shift that had to happen. So when I went to Brendan Burchard conference, he talked about three key concepts of, write down the 20 to 30 things that you do on a monthly basis or weekly basis, and then begin to either automate, delegate, or remove the things that are not needle moving activities. So I would always tell myself, well, why I can't, I want to create more content. I want to provide more value back to the business community, but I'm like, oh, I'm too busy. So we went through that process, and I literally had my planner out, and I'm writing out 20 to 30 things. I'm like, wait, why am I doing this? And then it just kind of clicked in my head, and I began to either automate the task, or I began to delegate it to somebody who was better at it on my team. I brought on more people, and it's like made my life better. And we're now I'm focused, for me, there's really three key things that I focus on now. It's either making our tasks automated, doing some sales calls, and putting out content. Those are the kind of the three things that are my job. It's like acquisition. And it's the things that I'm good at. Like, I'm good at acquiring clients. Because I was doing everything else, setting up Facebook ads and doing all these other things that I'm good at as well. But there's somebody else who's better at it. Like, I have somebody on staff. Why am I doing it? And it was kind of that realization of like, okay, I just need to think more things off and make sure that the people know that whenever I delegate, that it's an opportunity that we can keep growing as a team, and just over communicating with the team whenever you delegate about like, hey, you're really good at this, and like it's just been like it's been cool because I've seen my team step up when I kind of like I heard an entrepreneur once say that the reason your business isn't growing is because oftentimes you the business owner are the one that are getting in the way of growth. And I was getting in the way of growth, I believe. And it wasn't until I stepped back and let my team do what they do best that's when we really started to see growth. So it's been really cool. It's been a cool experience. Acquiring new clients. And then, yeah, like my job is to acquire clients and hand them off to my account manager now. So it's, it was that element in San Diego where I went to the conference and Brendan said, you need to delegate, automate, you need to automate, you need to delegate, you need to remove tasks that are not needle moving activities. And when I did that, immediately I texted Neil, I'm like, we got to do this. And he's like, yep, I've been telling you that. And because he's great at delegating, and I just wasn't. And I was kind of getting in the way of the growth, and I kind of removed a lot of things, and now we're growing. So it works. Just do it.
That's awesome, man. Wow, that's such great self-awareness. And I just think that's so invaluable for business owners today, because I think the far majority just they take on way too much. And you find that the ones that are really successful, they've kind of nailed down how to delegate. And for myself, like there's just so many things, like there's key things like you said, like that I'm super good at, and then there's just there's a lot of things that I'm not. Like there's so many things I'm not good at, I'm
Yeah.
terrible at. And it's
And
great when
why
you have
do those things? Yeah, like especially if you have a team, why do the things that you're not good at?
100%, man. That's cool. What I love looking forward, and I love the conversations around what do you see in the future, and
Mhm.
what do you want this thing to look like? So 3 to 5 years down the road, what does Studio PTBO look like for you, and what and your where you are in it?
Good question, man. Like, I find it changes. It's like we have our 1 year goals that we kind of accomplish, and I just like I feel like I'll still just be on a learning journey. I feel like I'm just getting started. And again, like it was Matthew McConaughey who did his like award-winning speech about like how he's always chasing the 10 years out, about like I'm chasing the 39-year-old version of myself. And I'm building this. I feel like I'm building this for legacy. I'm not really building this to exit. I want to leave legacy. I want to help more people. I want to employ more people. And yeah, it's kind of a mixture. I don't know. Like it's a hard question because I find like it's a moving target where, again, like I want to grow a big business, but I want to do it profitably. And as far as 3 to 5 years out, I have ideas in regards to eventually wanting to like start a coaching program of my own. I feel like I'll probably end up venturing out eventually. Like I'll have the agency and then maybe potentially a coaching program that you can work with me one-on-one. And I still have a long way to go to build the agency because that's where my focus is. But coaching has always been something, helping people, build businesses is something that I'm super passionate about. And I love entrepreneurship. I love entrepreneurs. So I've always tried to kind of like wrestle with that. What does that look like? What does that program look like? How do I do that? But so right now the focus is just on the agency and the growth of the agency. But that's always kind of in the back of my head over the next like 5 year macro, I guess you could say.
I think that's really, really cool, Cody. And it's actually brilliant because that's an intangible, I believe, for any agency owner, to not only have a great understanding of marketing, but also a great understanding of business. Because I don't know about you, and it's funny, I had a conversation with one of our newest hires the other day around this. It's like, you're a marketing you're helping people with marketing, but you're also like a business consultant in a lot of ways.
Yep. 100% you are.
Real Yeah. And so I just think that's brilliant and so natural that you want to go in that direction and expand to that in the future. Because from what I've been listening to and hearing from you already, certainly you are very talented in that area, I believe, as well. And just seems very, very natural fit for you.
Yeah, it's been a learning journey, man. I still have a long way to go, and I'm just constantly trying to just keep a growth mindset because I've interviewed quite a few people who've said like try to be the dumbest person in the room, and like I just try to get around people that are smarter than me so that I can grow the business. So it's I've been lucky enough to be surrounded by a good group of entrepreneurs that are way further ahead in their entrepreneurial journey than I am, and I'm just trying to learn from them.
Love it. Love it. What got you started like wanting to interview people? Where did that come
So
from?
I actually started from my creative purpose days. I was just interviewing local businesses prior to the Studio PTPO thing, and I always kind of like had this, I guess, like this weird passion to just kind of want to hear people's stories, and like why did you do what you do? Like what drives you every morning to wake up and decide that this is the career that you chose? And I've always had a curious mindset of like why people choose a specific thing, and I've like even when I ask questions, it's always out of curiosity. So I think it's just like it started out of curiosity of like why did you choose this over anything else? So um, I think that's kind of the reason I started interviewing people. And further to that, like like I think it's like lately we have some cool guests coming up on our show over the next little while. It's like it's kind of getting free business consulting. You get some of these like larger guests, and like selfishly, it's like I get the ability for them to just I get to ask them any question I want to ask them over the course of a 45-minute to an hour window, and I get free business consulting. So it's cool. It's been interesting.
I love that, and I love how you just unapologetically, let me know like intent as well, because like I too really enjoy getting feedback from other business owners when I'm, and the questions I ask, it's like, okay, well, how are they doing this, and
Yeah, tell
how
me.
are
Feed
how
me
are
your
they approaching
secrets.
100%, man. And like I just think it's a strategy that any and every business owner could implement. It would change the face of their business, because the more that you're learning, and I mean, now it's a familiar face, right? Like
Yeah,
now it's a warm conversation as opposed to a cold one.
yep,
um
100%.
there's too many positive variables with doing it. So I love watching what you guys are doing. Love seeing the interview with you and Dustin, not Justin.
Yeah,
um
that was
yeah,
fun.
man, I just want to encourage you to keep going, man. I
You as
love
well,
what you're
man.
putting. Appreciate it. I love what you're putting out. And man, I appreciate you guys. So
Thanks for
thank
having me.
you.
Thanks for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Sir, we will keep in touch.
Yes, we will.
Um, and best of luck to you. Wish you the very best, sir.
Awesome, man. You as well. We'll chat with you soon. Have a great day. Eh?
You too.
Thanks, man.
Bye now.